Now, Mamdani's not only been anti-police, he's even spoken about, and quite recently, about wanting to abolish ICE.
Well, Mr. Mayor, in light of recent events, there have been renewed calls from prominent Democrats to abolish ICE. I want to know where you come down on abolishing ICE and if you believe that ICE has any legitimate law enforcement role.
You know, I am in support of abolishing ICE, and I'll tell you why. Because what we see is an entity that has no interest in fulfilling its stated reason to exist. We're seeing a government agency that is supposed to be enforcing some kind of immigration law, but instead what it's doing is terrorizing people, no matter their immigration status, no matter the facts of the law, no matter the facts of the case.
How do you see that, Dave? Is ICE no longer fit for purpose?
No, but he's fit to be on The View because much like all of those harpies, he said everything that came out of his mouth was a lie. So he's a perfect host. Throw a wig on him and give him a gig. No, their stated purpose is to get illegals out of the United States, and that's exactly what they are doing. By the way, they're doing it much slower than progressive leader Barack Obama ever did. Trump has only deported about 700,000 people. I wish it was many more. Now, have there been a few incidences where they've temporarily detained people who shouldn't have been? Yes, but there is no perfect system. And if you're going to harbor people, if you're going to hire people, hide people that are illegal, et cetera, then you might temporarily get in trouble too. But the idea that they're out there intentionally terrorizing people or anything else is completely absurd. And by the way, Rita, I know you're as keen viewer of The View as I am. Why is it that they never do shows about Lake and Riley? Why is it that they never do shows about Joshua Wilkerson or any of the people, usually young people, who have been killed by illegal immigrants? They never shed any tears for them, but somehow when there are people who are here illegally, whether they are committing other crimes or not is irrelevant. If you are here illegally, you've got to go. Rita, I saw you in Australia not too long ago. If I had overstayed my visa and just decided I'm just making, I'm just going to stay in Sydney forever, that's it for me, I'm staying, and someone would have found me, they would have kicked me out, and it would have been their right to do it. It's obvious, but they are not going to stop. It's as simple as that. They are not going to stop. They are trying to import voters.
They are, and The View also never spends any time talking about the rapists, the murderers, the pedophiles who have been deported in the past 12 months. They just don't. They have absolutely zero interest in that. I don't think that they even speak about the murder rate in the US dropping by around 20%. The biggest single-year drop. You would think that would be a source of some happy news they could be sharing with their miserable audience. Now, we're going to have some happy news because the victorious members of the American ice hockey team, fresh from defeating arch rivals Canada to win Olympic gold, they were in Miami and they were hitting the clubs and singing the anthem. Dave, this team has copped so much vitriol for being proud of their country, for having Kash Patel celebrate with them, for accepting an invitation from the president to be at the State of the Union address. Some of the reaction from so-called Americans, I say so-called because they seem to hate their country and hate anybody who loves the country.
I have to say, Rita, I'm so proud that that's in my hometown now of Miami, and that tells you the difference between Miami and New York City. We celebrate our heroes while in New York City they're pelting them with ice. Look, hockey is not even that important to Americans. It really isn't. It's not in our top 10 sports. We just kind of do it for fun occasionally, but these kids are phenomenal, every single one of them. You watch these interviews, and they talk about their love of America. They talk about their love of sport, how they're doing it for the next generation. It was almost like too perfect in every which way, these guys. And the fact that some people are upset that they're waving the American flag. I mean, that kid, that iconic picture, that kid with the Jack Hughes with the busted teeth, blood dripping out of his mouth, and he's got a huge smile and the American flag. It's so absolutely beautiful, and what this is all about. And by the way, you know, one of the things about being in a free country is that you can criticize the country, but if you are going to represent your country in the Olympics, and then you're going to, as some of the other Olympians did, some of the snowboarders, et cetera, then you're going to, you know, basically talk crap about your country while you are there, maybe you should find another gig.
Maybe you should. And I did note yesterday that a lot of those virtue signaling Olympians who were talking about being conflicted about representing America, they didn't do so well. There weren't too many gold medals. They were coming in 10th and 13th. And yeah, they weren't anywhere near the podium. So anyway, that's a discussion for another day. But you mentioned Jack Hughes. He scored the incredible overtime goal that gave Team USA the men's gold medal at the Winter Olympics. Let's hear from him.
We're athletes. We're so proud to represent the U.S. And when you get the chance to go to the White House, meet the president, you know, we're proud to be Americans, and, you know, that's so patriotic. So no matter what your views are, we're super excited to go.
How do you feel about the women not going?
Everyone's giving us backlash for all the social media stuff today, but it's so negative. People are so negative out there, and they're trying to find a reason to just, like, put people down and make something out of almost nothing.
Dave, this should not be controversial. Of course, any normal sporting team made up of normal people would seize the honour, but the women's team were invited and they weren't there today at the State of the Union.
You know, it's so sad, and it's such a condemnation of what has happened in, you know, sort of modern Western society, that you can live the freest, most prosperous, wonderful life. You can play sport for a living, which virtually anyone would love to do, and that you still wouldn't be proud enough, or you'd be so angry at Donald Trump for whatever reason that you wouldn't show up to the White House when you were representing the United States. It's just so profoundly absurd. But, you know, the really twisted part of this is that because everything is so polarized politically these days, everyone's making it seem like this kid, Jack, and all the other young guys on the team, that they're all, because they're pro-America, they're somehow conservative. And it's like, I don't know any of their political views. I have no idea what he thinks about abortion or tax rates or anything. What I do know is he loves America. And ironically, that's what Donald Trump now represents. So the more you go after these extraordinary young people who are doing incredible athletic feats, the more you're making it, the more you're showing the average person it's you who is ridiculous, not them.